In Unit 11, we're going to be learning about the unit circle in radians, but for 11.1, we're going to be learning about arc length in radians, and we're going to be converting a degree measure into a radian. So we have some leading questions in parts A and B on these three problems, but ultimately we're going to be figuring out the length of the highlighted arc, and this is how we convert a degree into a radian. So in number 1, we have this circle. This arc is only 90 degrees of the circle, and we have a radius of 6. So in part A, it says, what is the circumference of the circle? Well, we know that circumference equals 2 pi r, where r is our radius. So in part A, we have circumference equals 2 pi times 6. We get 12 pi. In part B, it says, what fraction of the circle is 90 degrees? So if I'm only looking for 90 degrees of a full circle, which is 360, fraction, I'm going to take 90 over 360. And you can use your calculator to reduce this to 1/4. In part C, it says, what is the length of the highlighted arc? So in order to figure out the length of the highlighted arc, we're going to take our circumference, which is 12 pi. So the whole circle is 12 pi, but I'm only looking for 1/4 of the circle. So I'm going to multiply that by 1/4. And we get 3 pi. So the length of the highlighted arc is 3 pi. And number 2 says, what is the circumference of the circle? So again, circumference equals 2 pi r. In this case, my radius is 9. We get 18 pi. It says in part B, what fraction of the circle is 60 degrees? So I'm going to take 60 divided by 360. I get 1/6. Again, use your calculator to reduce. So it says, what is the length of the highlighted arc? So I know that the full circle is 18 pi, but I'm only looking for 1/6 of the circle, so I'm going to multiply by 1/6. And we get 3 pi. So different degrees, different radii, we get the length of the highlighted arc to be the same answer. That's just a coincidence for these two problems. This will be a different answer though. So for number 3, it says, what is the circumference of the circle? So again, we have circumference equals 2 pi r. So we get 24 pi. In part B, it says, what fraction of the circle is 225 degrees? So I'm going to take 225 divided by a full circle, which is 360, reduces to 5/8. In part C, it says, what is the length of the highlighted arc? So I'm going to take the full circle and multiply that by 5/8 so that my answer reduces to 15 pi. So in general, my formula for finding the length of an arc, we have our arc length equals, and every single time we took our circumference, which is 2 pi r, and we multiplied it by the degree divided by 360. And this is how we find the radian of a circle. The radian is just an arc length. So we have 2 pi r times the degree divided by 360. So in activity 2, we're going to find the arc lengths of the unit circle. So for all of these, remember a unit circle has a radius of 1. So for all of the next 16 problems, we have radii of 1. And these are all the degrees that we did in unit 10. Remember, we have a degree of 30 and a radius of 1. So we're going to use the formula that we found in activity 1 to find the radian of this circle. So I'm going to take my circumference, so we have 2 pi times 1, and then we multiply it by the degree over 360. And you could type all of this into your calculator except for the pi. So once you do that, you'll get pi over 6. All right, make sure that you are changing everything into a fraction. In number 2, same thing. So we have 2 pi times a radius of 1, and then times 45 divided by 360. type all of it into your calculator except for the pi symbol, and then convert it into a fraction, and you'll get pi over 4. In number 3, so we have 2 pi times 1 times 60 divided by 360. Type it all into your calculator, change it into a fraction, and you'll get pi over 3. Number 4, we have 2 pi times 1 times 90 divided by 360. And you will get pi over 2. For number 5, 2 pi times 1 times 120 divided by 360. And you'll get 2 pi over 3. Number 6, 2 pi times 1 times 135 over 360. And we get 3 pi over 4. In number 7, 2 pi times 1 times 150 over 360, which is 5 pi over 6. Number 8, 2 pi times 1 times 180 divided by 360, which equals pi. And it keeps going. If you've gotten bored with me doing 2 pi r times whatever the degree over 360 is. In number 9, this would be equal to, my answer is 7 pi over 6. In number 10, we have 5 pi over 4 is our answer. In number 11, we have 4 pi over 3. In number 12, we have 3 pi over 2. In number 13, we have 5 pi over 3. Number 14 is equal to 7 pi over 4. Number 15, 11 pi over 6. And then finally, in number 16, we have a full circle. Well, so again, 2 pi r times 360 divided by 360, because a full circle is 360 degrees. We get an answer of 2 pi. Now, I have all of these radians memorized. Now, right now, your goal is just to be able to convert the degree measure into a radian using the unit of 1 as the radius. And this is how we find all of the radians in the unit circle. So there are many ways to measure an angle. We've already learned about the degrees system, and now this unit is all about radians. So the formal definition of a radian is the length of a radius wrapped around a circle. Now, there are 2 pi radians in a circle, which means that I could take the radius and wrap it around the circle, one circle, 6.28 times. And I know that it's 6.28 times because that's what 2 pi is. And finally, we're going to fill in the unit circle with the appropriate radian measure, and we're not going to fill in the actual values, the sine and cosine values. We're just going to fill in the trig values, the radians. So starting at 0, which is the same as 360, this is going to be equal to 0, and then we end at 2 pi. So those are going to be the same. At 30 degrees, this is pi over 6. 45 degrees, pi over 4, 60 degrees, pi over 3, 90 degrees, pi over 2, 120 degrees, 2 pi over 3, 135 degrees, 3 pi over 4, and we already found all of these measures with the circles above. 150 degrees, 5 pi over 6, 180 degrees, this is pi, 210, so this is 7 pi over 6, 225, 5 pi over 4, 240, 4 pi over 3, 270, 3 pi over 2, 300, 5 pi over 3, 315, 7 pi over 4, 330 is 11 pi over 6, and then again we end at 2 pi. So these are all of the radian measures of the unit circle. And if you notice, going around, we have denominators of 6. We have denominators of 4. We have denominators of 3. And then, of course, we have all the axes. So 0, pi over 2 pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi. And in the next video, we're going to be talking about how to remember all of the different trig values, so the sine and cosine in parentheses, based on the denominator. So you might like this a little bit better than the degree measures. It might be a little bit easier to memorize, but these are all the radians of the unit circle.